What's up, dancers? This is Jam, bringing you another locking tutorial. And in this video, I'm gonna break down some basic footwork patterns and show you how to incorporate them into your freestyle. Let's do it.
Jam, jam, here comes the man, hot damn.
So when you're freestyling and locking, one really important concept that I find helps to understand is how to mix and match what you're doing on top and what you're doing on the bottom. So you can almost think of your freestyle and your dance cut into two pieces, where you have your top portion, which has your paces, your wrist rolls, points, claps, and locks, and then your feet, which can be doing something completely different, okay? So what I'm gonna show you right now are some very basic footwork steps and patterns to get you started with how to move your feet. And then I'm gonna show you how to apply your freestyle on top with those same patterns and how you can mix and match and get creative with those. So the very first thing to know and remember is that you have to start with the groove, okay? So whenever I'm gonna be doing any of these steps, I always focus on my bounce and my groove first, and I let this carry me into the step, okay? These two things are very inseparable. You never wanna take them out. It's always at the same time, okay? So the first step that I wanna show you is a basic two-step, okay? But to me, this is like the locker style of doing it, right? So all we're gonna do, we're gonna start with our groove here. We're gonna step and step back, okay? Up and back, up and back. Now if I turn to the side, it looks like this. Boom, ha, boom, ha. Now I still have this groove right here, going back, and I kind of have like this up and down motion, but I'm still grooving back. Boom, ha, boom, ha. And if I come to the front, just like this, okay? Now this is a two-step, so you can always switch up how you're gonna do it in whatever different directions. There's so many different ways you can. So you have this, you can also go back, right? You can cross your leg behind, right? You can also turn to the side, this way, right? And you can even go to the front if you want, here, okay? Those are just a couple different ways that you can just play with that pattern. The next basic step that I'm gonna go over is the kickball change. This is a very fundamental dance move in general, but heavily used in locking. It's very similar to just the two-step, but we're just gonna add a kick instead of a step, right? So starting with the groove here, we're gonna go 1 and 2, yeah? Boom, 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 boom. So almost the same exact kind of feel that we did with the two-step, where we're kind of like dipping down into it, grooving, dipping down. Instead of just stepping, we're gonna go kickball change, ta, 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 okay? And then with this as well, you can do it in different directions. Another thing that you can do is also slide with it. So kick, ha. You can slide different directions, ha, boom, boom, yep. Since the kickball change is used in so many other moves, this is definitely a step that you wanna get comfortable with. So the next footwork pattern that I want to show you is a pace walk, or at least this is what I call it, pace walk, which is, it's almost like a march, right? So our feet are just stepping like this, but it always in conjunction with the groove, okay? So we're basically just going to be walking and stepping with our groove, okay? And with this, you can play with how you're going to groove, right? Even the level in which you go, right? But we're just staying on this 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. And I call it a pace walk because this is usually what you would do when you're doing a pace, right? This is very simple, not really too much to break down, but this is definitely a travel move. So you wouldn't normally just be standing here while you're doing this, but you would want to use this to move around the room. And this is how you can use it for traveling, right? You can open up, come over here, right? Or you can stay, back it up, move it forward, basically use it to travel around the room. So the next one isn't really a footwork pattern, but more so of like a position. And it is this open squat position, okay? Now, it's just something to note. This is pretty common in the style of locking. You'll see a lot of lockers use this. I definitely use this myself. And it's this opening and opening movement, right? So we're going from side to side like this. And all I'm doing really is I'm rotating on my heels out and getting like a really deep squat. Make sure my knees are pointed out. Then I can come in and go back out, okay? So I have this, ha, ha. You can be centered, up, come down, and basically it's this leg position. And there's a lot of different things that you can do with this leg position. And it's also a precursor to dropping down to like a knee drop, which if you haven't seen, I have a tutorial on that. I'll go ahead and put in the description. But this is definitely a position you want to get comfortable with as well. It's going to be a little more intense because you're really using your muscles here. But this is something that you want to practice quite often, okay? So those are the basic leg patterns and footwork patterns that you'll use in locking for the most part. And again, you want to always be yourself. You want to get creative with all of these things. It's nice to practice them and do them as they are, but the best thing is always to figure out how you like to do it. So you don't always have to do it the way that I do it, but maybe you want to do it like this, or changing up the basics and getting creative with them, okay? So with those out of the way, the last footwork patterns that I would like to go over are the steps, okay? And these are moves in and of themselves, not necessarily basic footwork patterns, but actual moves, okay? Such as Leo walk, all right? This is all legs and hips. You have your Scooby walk. So any of your walks, really, you can play with, okay? Even your Campbell walk here. Your Skeeter Rabbit, boom, boom, ba, da, da, da. Your Scuba, which you want to just break it down without the arms. It's just heel, heel, step, step. You have your Scuba hop, which looks like this, ha, ha. Okay, and that's also a hop step, which you can add in a bunch of other stuff too. So I'm not going to take time to teach those in this particular video. If you want to learn any of those steps, I'll put all of those links in the description. And now let's move on to how to dance on top and use our fundamentals while we are doing these footwork steps. So going back to what I said originally, you can think of getting creative with your upper body and your lower body in two pieces, right? So think of it as your upper body can be doing something completely separate while your lower body is doing something different, okay? So let's take our just basic two-step, and I'm going to show you how you can drill this and start practicing getting creative on top and on the bottom, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my groove, obviously, first, okay? I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to start getting into my groove as I step. Now, from here, I'm going to keep this step going the whole time. I'm not going to try to change this right now, but I'm going to keep my feet moving in the same pattern. Now on top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all the things that I can do with my arms and my groove and get creative just like that, okay? So really the moves that you're going to be using on top are going to be your up lock and down lock, your wrist rolls, your points, your hand claps and giving fives, and your pace, okay? And those are your arm movements, but you can also use your head and use character looks, right? And you can also change up what you're doing with the groove, yeah, your different positions and turns and stuff like that. If you want a little bit more detail on how to use those basics in your freestyle, I'll put that link in the description as well. So the basic drill to practice this is you're going to pick a step, you're going to pick any step that you want to practice, and you're going to do that step on the bottom the whole time, okay? Now what you're going to start off doing is you're going to be doing 2 moves on the first 2 counts, okay? So for example, if I start with my 2-step, okay, I go 5, 6, 7, 8, I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? So basically I do 2 moves and then I groove and just keep that same pattern for the last 2. And then I do it again and then repeat that over and over, okay? Once that starts feeling comfortable, then you can start doing all of the counts and really playing with all of the things that you can do on top while still doing the same step. Okay, so what that looks like, I go 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm really just gonna get creative, play with my arm positions, play with my groove, my looks, okay, all of the fundamentals I have on top while just continuing to rock that step on the bottom. Now after that starts feeling more comfortable, then you can start playing with the variations of the step, right? So instead of just doing this, I can start playing how I want to mix up the feet, okay? I can even start changing the steps. So if I want to start with the two-step, but then I want to go kickball change, and then I want to do pace walk, right? And then the Leo walk. So now you can start combining and transitioning between your footwork steps while still freestyling on top with your arms, your head, and your groove, okay? So if you're a beginner and you're kind of new to mixing up your footwork, okay, what I recommend first is before you even add any of the arms, okay, you just focus on your groove and focus on transitioning between each pattern, okay? Just like I showed you. You can start with one pattern, okay? Start with one basic step and freestyle just going between different footwork steps, okay? Finding how they flow together. All of these things are just feet, okay? And then you can go back and get comfortable with just transitioning between all that stuff. When that starts to feel more comfortable, then you add in the arms, okay? But start slow. Pick a couple moves, maybe 2 counts like I said, 1, 2, and groove for the other 2, 1, 2, and then when that feels more comfortable, then you add more and more, okay? Always start small and build up until you're comfortable.
Come on.
Thank you so much for checking out this locking tutorial. I hope that I was able to help you in any way, and if you got any value out of the video, please hit that like button for me, as well as leave me a comment and let me know your feedback on this video and any videos or tutorials that you want to see in the future. As always, shout out to the Drop Dance Studio for hosting this tutorial. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, click that little bell icon down there so you always get notified when I put out a new video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!